Joker is without a doubt one of the better characters in Mortal Kombat 11, and if you've ever played against a good one, you know all about those kind of shenanigans. But today I'm going to teach you how to deal with them. So, let's get into it.
Accept your death.
Yo, what's up, Bonehawk? Shujinkydink here. Welcome to a video all about the Joker. Today we're talking about CCDDEGEC, which I believe is the tune to make the little Pop Goes the Weasel sound. I wanted to explain to you how it works so you understand how to deal with this pressure a little bit, because it can be very overwhelming at times, and you need to know how to deal with it and exactly how plus he is as often as you can. So the key to this is a visual. So it starts by this, and he launches it into the air, and it comes down and it hits you. That's not the only option, but it's the one we're going to start with. So if we're talking about just the enhanced one, we're going to start with the enhanced one here. So enhanced one, it goes up in the air and it hits you on top of the head. So it comes down right on the old dome, right? -2. So this is where it's the least negative, or least plus, I guess. So it's -2. So this is where the visual is important, because if it hits you in the midsection, it's at 0, which is no real advantage either way, but he does have really nice pushback. And I'll talk about that in a little bit here. And then the least advantageous, or sorry, the most advantageous for him is if it hits you right on the foot. Now, as far as that's just it launching and coming down. So least advantageous is right on top of your head, second is right in the midsection, and then the most is right on your footsies. As you can see, from -2 to +3, and that's where it goes. Now, where it is the absolute most obnoxiously plus is when it bounces off the ground first and then hits you. So there's +8, so if it bounces off the ground and hits you in the leg, that's the least plus, which +8, that's still pretty plus. It can bounce off the ground and hit you in the midsection here, +9 and above. And then the most is when it bounces off the ground and it hits you in the head. Boom! +19. I've seen it can be upwards depending on how he's spaced. +21. I've seen +28, 29. I mean, the farther back he goes, obviously the more it bounces, it's going to be more plus because he's recovered and he's just coming in, right? But you kind of want to do it around this range because most Joker players, or Joker in general, are going to be using that string there. So there you go. So the 2-1 puts him at the distance where it's going to bounce off the ground and hit you in the head, which is 21 advantage. Now, the key to dealing with this is this takes a bar of meter. He cannot do this with just a regular one. It's just going to whiff and he's going to look silly. So this is where your meter management skills really have to come into play. You need to be paying attention to the Joker's meter, because only, there you go, see, it didn't hit you quite at the top. You're still plus, but you're +4 and you're all the way back here. As soon as he runs out of meter, that's when he has to do some unsafe stuff like this and kind of make a read. If he doesn't have any meter, that's kind of your turn to challenge it. Or you can try to use interactable, get out of the corner, that kind of thing. But the important thing is you watch his meter so that you know exactly when he's trying to take advantage of those plus ones. So that's kind of how the enhanced portion works. Still, of course, Joker, a pretty obnoxious character. But without meter, not quite as much, especially when it comes to this move in particular, which can be very frustrating and overwhelming at times. So hopefully that kind of helps you understand how this move in particular works with meter. Now, without meter, he's kind of got forced to come a little bit closer to you. You can start doing a little bit more strings, and then into the regular one. And the regular one works the same way. It's most negative when it hits you on top of the head, and it's a little bit less when it hits you in the midsection. If you could just do that for me, please. 0, and then most advantageous when it hits you on the feet. I think I can get to +3. I think. +2. Anyways, you get the idea. So that's with no meter, with just the there it is, the +3. So just with the actual move on its own, not too many options here as far as actually getting that to hit you. Forward 2 is a nice option, but again, it's going to come up and hit you in the dome. Certain ranges, the back 4, or down 4, sorry, into it. So if he doesn't have the meter to actually enhance this thing, it's really not as scary. Because you don't get that pushback with it as well. A little bit of pushback, but certainly not as much as you would otherwise. And this is kind of where, if he's on a meter, is where gets actually with meter too. This is kind of the golden ticket to Joker. Is we've talked about when it comes up and hits you on the way down, but it can also hit you on the way up. And if you look at right down in the corner there, he's minus 14. You cannot let people get away with this. This is where you're going to punish the Joker the most. Down 4 into it will put him minus 14. Forward 1-4 into it will put him minus 14. So these are things you have to look out for. The forward 1-4 is a little bit of a mix-up because you have the forward 1-4-2, which is minus 6, so you're watching for that low. So if you try and duck the low, he's going to pop you on top of the head. He's going to be safe at minus 2, but it still should be your turn after that. Doesn't get any plus frames from that. So keep in mind this will depend on your character a little bit and your hitbox, but generally speaking, that's the thing. The main thing I wanted to drive home here was make sure that you don't get gimmicked out by stuff like this. That's minus 14, full combo punishable on block. And to watch his meter, make sure when he puts himself at full distance, but there you go. Once he's on a meter, he kind of has to close the distance and come on in, and then he's going to have to do that by holding this, which isn't as scary as just waiting for him to pop the meter burn anytime and stay in the safe zone. Now, that being said, this does kind of change. Oh, one more thing that, so that you can duck the last hit of that. Some Joker players will try to go for that. That's minus 14 as well. That's the 1, 2, 3 into, again, anything that he's kind of up on you when the Jack-in-the-Box hits on the way up, it's negative. So one thing that I didn't really think about until after talking to Crazy Fingers about this was that Joker doesn't have a fantastic game out from here kind of onward. So if he kind of puts himself in a position where, you know, he's like that, and he doesn't have any meter, or maybe he burns his last bar meter trying to do something like this, and then kind of dashes backwards. I mean, you can take advantage of this. He doesn't really have a whole lot to contest out of this. So especially this being mid-screen as well, if you can get him past outside of his comfort zone of here, you know, boop, boop, then there you go. So that's one more thing to keep in mind. If he does push himself out passive, maybe try and keep him there. Don't try and bait him, because him coming in is definitely in his favor. You basically want to make him do something like that. He would give up his turn. Like that, he would give up his turn. And then he has to cancel into this and walk it in. So you have to be very careful. But I think that's about it. When in regards to this move, wasn't sure if something this you might have labbed or something that maybe you've seen. It was a really easy thing that I saw as far as just like watching the visual, whether it comes up, goes up and comes down, or whether he walks it all the way in like an absolute maniac and then boom, in your face, he's minus 14. So hopefully you found this helpful. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like, because it really helps me out. And subscribe if you haven't, because we make videos almost every single day. Bit of a break coming up, we'll talk about tomorrow. Anyways, hashtag Bonehawks. We'll see you guys in the next video.
I am steward of Chronicles vision. Fate has been so cruel to you.